Maestro Jamie Humphreys, fresh off of riffing away with Brian May and Jeff Beck, and now at Musikmesse 2012, Frankfurt, Germany, at the Blackstar booth, I think. And Jamie's going to tell us about a new amp that Blackstar has this year that looks like it's a whole bunch of busy.
It is indeed. It's something a little bit different from the guys at Blackstar, where normally we're associated with being a valve amp. The guys have delved into the world of analog and transistor and digital, should I say, analog, transistor and digital amps. This is not a modeling amplifier. Okay, we have not tried to emulate the sound of other amp brands, old and new. These are all, if you look on the front panel, you can see things like warm clean and bright clean, crunch, super crunch. These are all familiar settings that you would see on other Blackstar amps. There are two modes that you can use the amplifier. At the moment, if I can just lean over, we have it in manual mode, which means when that's kicked in, these controls here are set. They are, the sound of the amp is as these controls are. If I turn the manual mode off, I then go into the preset channels. These are presets that come with the amplifier, or they are sounds that you can store and recall at the touch of a button or using a foot switch. These controls here are not set. These are just, the sound is set, but although you can turn them and make alterations. So there's a couple of different things to get used to. If I just go back on manual mode for a second, right now I'm kind of using a bright clean setting, and straight away you can hear that the amplifier is very dynamic. Now, to my ears, that doesn't sound to me like a digital amplifier. When you move on to the EQ, we've got all of the things that you'd expect to see from a Blackstar that we talk about every year when you come and see me, the ISF control. But over here we have this thing, which is TVP, which is true valve power. Now, I've just turned that off. If I play a chord, that is how a normal modeling amp would sound. What the guys at Blackstar managed to do is get the interaction that you normally get from a valve amp between the preamp and the power amp. We all know that valve amps are louder than transistor amps. It's a thing. But these guys have managed to put this in the power stage. But they can also, if I just hit the button, off, on. The volume has got louder, the sound is much thicker. By turning this dial here, we can basically select the different voicings and of different power amp tubes, and also get the kind of interaction that you would get from them. If I go down here to see the EL84, very classic British sort of sound. If I go all the way up now to the KT88, you will notice straight away it's much louder with a lot more headroom. If I now go to the 6L6, it compressed more. So it actually reacts in the way that the valves would react. Okay, if I go onto here, just move around the corner a bit, we've got the multi-effects engine, which has a variety of different modulations, delays and reverbs. I'm just going to call a couple up here. These can all be edited off the front. We have these little segments here, and as we turn the dial up, certain parameters will increase. We can also edit those a little bit deeper and on screen with the software that you can download for the amplifier. Just to give you an idea. Obviously a little bit of phasing there. What else have we got? Let's move on. I'm looking at this on the screen so I can't see properly. Here we have a chorus. Some delay. We've got some linear delay, which is a kind of a modern delay. I can set the tempo with the tap control on the front of the amp, or again on the software. Now all of these sounds can be stored into the different channels and recalled. This, the master section of the amp doesn't store, which means that once you get on a gig, we all know that different rooms and gigs are going to react differently and sound differently. So you can still tailor the sound once you get onto a gig. It's got emulated outputs. It's also got a USB out. So you can connect it to the computer. Once the amp is released, there's going to be an ID community where people can share sounds. You know, you might get artists, some endorsees creating sounds, so you can download those. The software also has an MP3 player, so you can, you know, it's very, very interactive. You can stick.
So, is the software an essential component of what this amp is?
It's not. It's not. It's you know, this amplifier is like everything that Blackstar does. You know, it has a kind of traditional value and a traditional feel about it. But you know, the guys are dipping their toe into some of the more modern technology, and this integrates with it. As you can see, if I just turn one of the controls here, you can actually see that, you know, the controls moving in real time. It's very organic feeling, if you like. This isn't essential, but you can make use of it. There's a tuner, there's the metronome. Like I said, the little cassette player there is for playing MP3s. I've got all of my tunes for the show here stored in it. And it just means that you can do some of the editing on the screen, and also it's a way for connecting the guitar to the computer for recording as well. So
what do you got in your Thin Lizzy guitar amps collection?
No, that's one of my backing tracks, you see.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so
Perfect.
I just have some backing tracks in the style of different artists to sort of hopefully show what the amp can do, or just to basically show how a bad guitar player I am.
You want to show us just how bad a guitar player you are, Jamie, right now? Show us some sounds, man.
All right, man. Well, I'm gonna put on a. Let me see what I've got here. Now you've put me on the spot. You know. All right.
You were asking for it.
Yeah, I guess I was. Stupid me. In the style of Van Halen.
That sounded pretty good, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
There you go. So
Pretty convincing.
thank you very much. But you can hear and see how, you know, we've got everything loaded in, the tracks, the sounds, and it just, you know, makes it a very interactive and fun little, you know, unit to use.
Who do you guys imagine using this kind of amp?
Well, you know, this is the thing. If I take my kind of company Blackstar stuff off, I thought at first it's going to be guys, you know, kids at home playing. But now, when I actually use the amp and have gotten into it, you think, well, you know, this is a very dynamic, it's a very realistic sounding amplifier. And on a session or a gig, there's so many different sounds. So I think it really does appeal to a lot of different people. So,
A lot of gig potential, really.
yeah, very much so. So there you go.
Thanks, Jamie. It's a pleasure as always.
As ever.
Cheers, man.
See you next year.
Have a good weekend. Bye, guys.
See you
This is
later.
Charles for PremierGuitar.com.